that is an absolute game changer for me, and probably the highlight for this watch is that track mode. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Coros Pace 2. This is a watch I've had for about 2 weeks now. It was sent to me for the purpose of review. However, I'm going to be sending this watch back after a 4-week period, so I'm not being paid at all by Coros to make this video, and all my opinions that I'm going to share with you today are very much my own. So I've done my easy runs, my long runs, my track workouts, my road intervals, treadmill runs. I've used this watch for literally everything in terms of running over the last few weeks. So I feel like I've got a good amount, I've had a good amount of time to test all its features. So first of all, let's start with some specifications of this watch. I have got some notes written here, so I may have a little glance over there, written from the Coros website themselves. So this little tiny watch is only 29 grams, which is pretty cool. It's a very, very lightweight watch. In fact, I believe it's the lightest GPS running watch that there is on the market at the moment. Yeah, just 29 grams with this nylon Velcro strap. The watch itself has 30 hours of battery life on GPS mode, so that basically means if you go for a run, you could use this watch for up to 30 hours and you'd still have enough battery life, which is pretty cool. But if that isn't long enough, say if you're somebody who's doing like a multi-day ultra marathon, you say need it to last for up to 60 hours, you can use the ultra mode on this watch to make it last up to 60 hours, which is pretty cool. On the website it says you can use this watch for 20 days without charging for daily use, which I've found to be pretty accurate from use. I think I've only charged this once in the last 2 weeks, which would live up to that 20-day daily use. This edition of the watch has the nylon band, which offers a 50% weight reduction, so makes it even lighter than the usual type of straps you get on your watches. And it's got quite a lot of features, including sort of sleep tracking, activity tracking, performance analysis, lots and lots of stats and figures that you can get from your runs from this little tiny watch. This watch comes in at £179 in the UK or 199 US dollars. So moving on to my first impressions of putting the watch on over the first few days. So the first thing I noticed is this nylon strap. It's really light and easy to put on. You just simply put it on your wrist, and you can adjust it pretty easily. You can get a good lockdown very quickly, probably a lot quicker than you would with, say, the traditional bands. And at first I thought maybe that nylon Velcro sort of combination wasn't going to be too grippy, but yeah, so far it's been excellent, and I probably wouldn't go back to a normal sort of watch strap, having now used this nylon Velcro one. I think it's very effective. The other first impressions I had from this watch were it's only got 2 buttons. So you've got this little dial on the side here. I'll do a little clip so you can see it a little bit better, but yeah, a dial on the side and a lap button, and it's only got 2 buttons, whereas more traditional watches have maybe 4 or 5 sometimes. So yeah, that was one of the things I noticed, a much more simple sort of refined design than I'm used to in a running watch. In terms of setting the watch up, you do so via the Coros app, which you can download on the App Store. Looks like this. Very, very easy to set up the new watch. I only asked a few questions, and it's very much customizable from the start, so you can choose your own watch face. You even tell the app what wrist you're going to wear it on, so left or right, and you even have the option of having the buttons on the left hand side or the right hand side, which is a feature I think is really cool and one I've again not seen before. So the first run I took this watch on was an hour run, an hour easy, probably around 13-14 kilometers, and when I got back to the house, having charged the watch fully beforehand, I'd only lost 4% battery, so first impressions were the battery life is absolutely excellent. Putting the watch on, it does feel a little bit cheap in terms of other watches I've tried, mainly because there's quite a lot of plastic, and that new sort of watch strap doesn't feel quite as premium as other watches, but then I feel like they've prioritized the weight reduction with this one, so it does feel slightly plasticky, and that's the only sort of downside I felt to this watch having put it on. But in terms of the design and the interface, and usability, it was excellent from the get-go. So moving on to my likes and dislikes, we'll start with the likes. There's quite a lot of them. The first thing is a very simple feature that this watch has, that when you look at it, it lights up. So if you're out on a run and you want to check your splits and it's dark outside, the watch automatically lights up, which I think is great. You don't have to press any button to get it to light up. So yeah, that was a really good feature. Simple but very effective. So when I first got this watch, one of the modes I was most excited to use was the Coros track mode. I'd heard a lot of people who use this watch who say, yeah, this watch is an absolute game changer when you're doing your interval workouts, and they weren't wrong. It has a feature where it basically can measure the track. So you do one lap of the track and it measures it for you perfectly, so it knows that loop that you've just run is exactly 400 meters, and then from then on throughout your workout it accurately measures the distance to that first lap calibration, which is an absolute game changer. If you have a look at my run here on Strava, you can see the line around the track is perfectly in line with each other, so it just goes to show how accurate it is, and I believe that's a function that Coros sort of have under lock. In terms of other watch companies can't use that same technology that they have. So I haven't used track modes on other watches, but from my first impressions with the Coros track mode, it's going to be hard to beat. Immediately I got accurate readings on the track, so I was doing kilometer reps, and yeah, I could look down at my watch and tell the exact pace I was on for that kilometer, whereas when I usually have used other watches in the past, especially running around in circles, it can be quite inaccurate in terms of GPS readings. So yeah, that is an absolute game changer for me, and probably the highlight for this watch is that track mode. The other things I've liked about this watch were the interval settings. You can really easily program intervals either into your watch via this little toggle here, or on the Coros Pace app itself. Two more likes before I move on to my dislikes. One being the treadmill function on this app. So basically you select indoor run and then you can tell your watch how fast the treadmill is going. For me, all the treadmills I use at the gym are in miles, so I did have to change the watch from kilometers to miles to be able to program that in, but again, super easy on this watch. And yeah, you can tell the watch how fast the treadmill is going, and then you get accurate splits on your watch whilst it tracks your heart rate. And finally, the app itself, the Coros app, is excellent. By far the best app I've used in terms of sports and tracking. The amount of data on here is incredible. And it's very, very easy to use. So moving on to my dislikes. Overall, I've really enjoyed this watch, but I have tried to come up with a few dislikes that maybe they could look to improve on in future iterations. One being the heart rate monitor. For me personally, I found it hasn't been that accurate. I usually train with a chest strap. I use one from a company called Shanren, which I have now connected to the Coros app. Again, very easy to connect that via Bluetooth. But the actual heart rate function on the watch, so the little monitor that is on the back of these watches, just here, I found hasn't been like super accurate. In fact, it hasn't been great at all, really. I'd say less than 50% of my runs in the first week I had accurate heart rate data. Yeah, for example, I did the same workout twice over the last 2 weeks, so a 3 times 10 minutes workout at sort of threshold pace. My threshold heart rate is usually around 165 to 170 at the paces that I was running at. So if I put the two heart rate datas here side by side, you can see this week, this one on the left is without the heart rate monitor connected, and the one on the right is with the heart rate monitor connected. You can see a lot more accurate when I was wearing this Shanren heart rate monitor than when I was using the watch. And I've just found on some easy runs, it said my heart rate has been like 100 beats per minute. Other runs it will say it's 100, it peaks at 175, when it definitely wouldn't have done over the course of an easy run for me. So yeah, heart rate monitor hasn't been excellent, but then for me, that hasn't been a huge issue because I usually run with a heart rate monitor. Other dislikes about this watch were initially this little dial button here on the side, which you sort of toggle between activities and stats, is a little bit fiddly, and I just find when you're running along and you want to change the watch face to say check your heart rate, sometimes I struggle to get that toggle to do basically what I want it to do. And I think I personally would prefer just an up and down option button. But yeah, other than that, I've been really enjoying this watch, but I wanted to share with you a few of my likes and dislikes there. So moving on to my final verdict, how have I got on with this watch over the last 2 weeks? So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed using this watch. Some of the standout features for me were how easy it was to set up, the battery life, and that track and treadmill mode that I mentioned. They're just features that I've not had on a watch before, and for me personally in my training, they're absolute game changers. Yeah, to be able to get accurate readings on both the track and treadmill is not something I usually can get. I would say this watch has been slightly let down by the heart rate monitor. For me personally, if I'm gonna be recommending this watch to anyone, I would say it works best when paired with a heart rate monitor, like an external one, but then again, that's probably said for most GPS watches. And finally, I thought I'd give this watch a score out of 10 based on performance, design and usability. So in terms of performance, I would give this watch an 8 out of 10. Simply losing 2 points there because the heart rate monitor function for me didn't work too well. For other people it might be excellent, but that's just my findings. In terms of the design and how easy the watch is to use, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, if it wasn't for that little dial that I find a little bit fiddly, whilst out on the run, I would probably give it a 10. And in terms of usability and features, I would give this watch a 10. So overall, I would give this watch a 9 out of 10. Yeah, a few features there to work on maybe in the future, but other than that, an excellent watch, and one I look forward to using over the next few weeks. I will be sending this one back. I've recently had some emails from both Garmin and Polar to try out some of their watches. So I've got the Garmin 55, Forerunner 55 to be trying out over the next few weeks, as well as the Polar Vantage V2. So expect some more watch reviews on the channel in the next few weeks. Probably going to be doing those spaced out over the next 2 or 3 weeks, just to make sure I give each watch a fair chance. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this sort of tech review. It's not something I've done a lot of on this channel, but yeah, let me know what other products I should try out in the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching. As always, aspire to run and run to inspire, and we'll see you with another one soon. Bye bye.